welcome back to Glam Me Up. Today I'm actually not wearing any makeup. I did do my hair though, but I just wanted to really quickly show you how I paint my nails since I was painting my nails today, and this is how they turned out. I love the way that they look. I'm not like a professional or anything. This is just some tips that I've learned on how to do it and get the perfect looking, shiny, long-lasting manicure. I also have a blog post that I did a little while back on how to make your manicure last longer, and I also have a video where I did a whole do-it-yourself manicure. That's just the preparation and stuff. I didn't include the painting. Make sure you check those out before you do this tutorial. That way you know how to prepare your nails before. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I've washed my hands and I've made sure that I removed any of the oils on them. Make sure you also don't touch your nails, because if you touch them, the oil from your fingers will get on them and then the nail polish will be likely to chip. Little things like that really do make a difference. You also want to make sure that there's no dust from filing or buffing or anything, so that's why I like to wash them and then let them dry for at least a minute or two just to make sure that there's no moisture still on the nail. We're going to first start off with a base coat, and this is Orly's Bonder, and I really like this because it dries to like a rubbery finish. That way your nail polish sticks and it also evens out any ridges or lines. So when I apply a base coat, it's not as important of how you do it. You just want to make sure that you do cover your whole nail and avoid the cuticle as well. So I just do this step kind of quickly. So now we're just going to wait for this to dry. The key to having a good manicure is letting it dry in between steps. This is going to ensure that it's going to dry thoroughly and it's not going to end up with any nicks or anything when you might think it's dry but it might not be dry underneath. So you want to make sure you let it dry in between every single coat. So then we're going to apply our nail polish. I'm going to be using China Glaze's Aquadelic, and this is a really nice Tiffany blue color. It's a lot brighter though than the For Audrey. This is more of a bright teal, almost like a pool blue color. It's very pretty. And when it comes to nail polish, if you're a beginner, I would recommend using a wider brush. I will show you one. So these Sally Hansen Complete Salon manicures actually come with a wider brush on them, which is really nice. OPI's brushes are also a little bit thicker, and these are super easy to apply because they have the rubber grip on them and it has a really wide brush. And it's also tapered too, so it's just perfect for painting nails perfectly. So if you have a hard time or you are a beginner at painting your nails, I would recommend getting this brand of polish, or also the Rimmel polishes, the Salon Pro ones, I think they're called, or Pro something. They also have a wide brush, and OPI has a wider brush as well. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be using one of those today because I want to show you truly how to apply it no matter what type of brush you have. And I also just got this polish, so I really want to paint my nails this color, and I've been wanting to do this video, so I'm just going to show you guys with this. Essie nail polishes also have a smaller brush. They're much smaller and they are round, so these can be a little bit hard to apply with as well. They're not too small, but they are pretty little for a nail polish brush, similar to China Glaze. So just keep that in mind when you're shopping for nail polish. So what you want to do with your nail polish bottle, and all of this little stuff is actually really important of how the nail polish turns out. So you want to wipe off one side of the brush, and you can even do it twice. So you want about that much nail polish on the brush and a big blob at the bottom, and you also want to make sure that there's none that's going to run down on the top here, because that's going to mess you up when you go to paint it. This also depends on how big your nails are. So what you want to do is start in the middle of your nail, and I'm going to start about this far down to my cuticle and do one sweep up. Then I'm going to continue that onto the sides, and as I'm doing this, I'm also smoothing it out because you don't want those ridges to dry. You don't want to get it too close to the cuticle at all. Now I'm just dipping it again and wiping off one side. And I'm kind of overlapping the layers because you want them, of course, to blend. And you can also you can kind of push your skin like that so you can get the corner. Now since this side isn't as thick, I'm just going to go over this. Then I'm just wiping off any extra that might have gotten on my cuticle with my other clean nail. So you want to make sure you keep it away from the cuticle. You don't want to get too close at all because that's going to make your nail polish chip. If there's any nail polish on your skin, then you've went too far, because then it's just going to peel up once it dries and eventually it's just going to all chip off. So it's a lot better to have a little bit of a border around it and have it last longer. It looks a lot neater, and it also will last you a lot longer. So here again, I have about this much on my nail, and I'm going to start about right there. And I'm also not pressing down too hard either. You want to just kind of lay the polish on lightly without pressing down too hard, and that's going to ensure that it's a very smooth finish. When you press down too hard like this, you can see that you end up with a brush stroke. So you want to make sure that you don't see any brush strokes because you don't want to lay your brush down too much. You just kind of want to lay the polish on do a big blob of it and just kind of spread it around. And you can see there is a visible nail on the side of it, and that's okay. You can't really tell if you look at it straight on, but you don't want to get it too close to your cuticle. And I'm even really picky about it as to I don't like the way that it's not even right here, so I just take my clean nail and I go around the edge to fix it. So now it's a straighter line at the bottom at my cuticle. And it might look like there's a lot of polish on here, but actually when it dries it's not, and it's a much cleaner finish than if you were to press down hard and do like a bunch of layers of really thin layers. You want to do more of like one solid thick layer and just let it kind of spread around your nail and mold, as to a bunch of thin layers. Don't want to go back over a part that you've already painted once it's starting to dry, because then you're going to end up messing up the nail polish and actually leaving like a permanent brush mark in it that you won't be able to fix since it's already too goopy if it's starting to dry. So you want to make sure you don't go over another area with a dry brush. If you do need to go over it, make sure you dip it back in your nail polish bottle, that way you have some polish on it like I just did, because I wanted to go over that part that wasn't covered yet, but I added more polish to it, that way it didn't just drag the polish away since it wasn't dried yet. So now I'm going to move on to my other hand, and when painting my right hand, I'm a right-handed person, so it can be a little bit hard, but the trick is to just practice with painting your nails in general. The secret to getting it right is just practicing it and just having a steady hand, and also being on a table. Taking your time and being patient and resting your other hand on the table and holding the bottle like this is going to ensure that you're not too shaky, and it's going to make it a lot easier to paint your opposite hand. I'm going to show you how you can clean it up if you do make a mistake. Since I can't use this nail since it has polish on it already, to use one of these orange sticks, just dry. You don't want to have cotton on it or anything because it's going to get in the way, and you don't want to use a Q-tip either because the Q-tip has fuzz on it and it's just going to make a big mess. So you just want to go around and clean up the cuticle area before it dries. You don't want to wait for it to dry to do this. Also, tilting your nail down like this is going to help with keeping it from bleeding down to your cuticle, because if you do have any extra polish, it's just going to run down to the bottom and form down there. So once you get to the end of your nails, you might start to notice that your polish gets a little bit thick, so I like to put the cap back on it and shake it up again. This is just going to help it to where it's not thick and it's like if we just open the bottle. Now we're going to go in with the second coat, but you want to make sure you let this coat dry. This is going to ensure that it's going to dry evenly, because like I said before with the base coat, if you go over with the second layer when the bottom layer is not dry, it's going to take forever to dry, and it's going to end up still being tacky for a really long time. Sometimes I don't have to do a second coat, because when I do apply the nail polish, if I see any parts that aren't covered, I go ahead and go over it anyways as I'm polishing, so I do end up with opaque color the first time, but it just depends on the nail polish since they're all different and they all have a different type of opacity, so you just want to kind of judge it based off how it applied the first time if you need another coat. Another thing you also want to keep in mind that a lot of people don't think about is don't paint your nails outside where there's air or anywhere where there might be a fan or the air conditioner on you, because you don't want it to start to dry your nails and the nail polish get too thick as you're painting it. It can make too many streaks and make it hard to apply it and smooth it out, because it will start to dry right as you put it down. So you want to make sure you're doing it inside. Plus there's not going to be any dust or dirt flying around in the air that might stick in it. So these are just little things that will ensure that your manicure looks perfect. You want to just go slow and take your time. If you're in a rush and about to go out the door, I would not even recommend painting your nails. Just take your nail polish off and go bare. So the main thing you want to keep in mind is when you're doing brush strokes, you want to go once down the middle and then a few passes on each side just to smooth it out, and then once down the middle again. And that's going to ensure that it's a perfect finish all the way through, and you also want to not get it too close to your cuticles. So now I'm just going to paint my glitter accent nail, and this is really fun. You don't have to do this, but I'm just doing this for this week. So when you paint glitter, it can be kind of hard because some of the flecks don't go where you want them to go, but it is a clear base, so you can kind of just manipulate where they are and pick up a lot on the brush like that. I'm going to wait longer to let all of this totally dry before I go in with my top coat. So now I'm going to move on to top coat, and for that I use the Seche Vite Fast Dry Top Coat, and this is the best top coat that I've ever used. I love it to death. You have to watch it though, because once it starts to get low, it gets too goopy and thick and it doesn't work. It starts to clump too much and it will start to be way too thick, so your nails are going to chip, because your nails can't be too thin and they also can't be too thick with the polish. It has to be just right to make it last a long time. So this is perfect. This is a new bottle of this, but the old ones are just way too hard to use, so you only really get about half use out of it. I mean, you can keep using it if you want to, but your polish isn't going to last as long. You can find these at drugstores or at Sally's. They run for about anywhere from $6 to $7, maybe $8. They are not too expensive at all, but I love this brand, and especially the Fast Dry one, because it does dry really fast. This is an awesome top coat because it's just so smooth and it's super shiny, and it doesn't fade either like a lot of top coats. After a few days they start to not look as shiny. This just stays shiny the whole time that you're wearing your nail polish. So basically what I do is the same way as the polish. I wipe off one end of the brush depending on how much I need, and I like to use a really thick layer of this just to coat it entirely. So you don't want to like touch your cuticle, but you do want to get it down a little bit farther than you did the polish, just to really seal in the polish and cover the border of the nail polish. That way it keeps it from peeling up around the border, if that makes any sense. Another thing that you want to do is make sure that you do a full swipe all the way to the end of your nail. So you want to make sure it's coming off of the tip of your nail like that, and that's going to ensure that it really covered the tip of it, because if you just brush up just like that, it's not covering the tip, and you can even see where the tip doesn't have nail polish on it, and that's where it's going to chip the most. I've noticed a huge difference when making sure that I cover the tip, or you can even cap off the tip, which is where you take just a little bit of nail polish on your brush and go over the tip of your nail like this. That's basically sealing in the tip of your nail and making a little layer over it, that way it doesn't chip as bad. The angle that you hold your brush, I forgot to mention this in the nail polish part, also has a lot to do with it. You don't want it to be up too far, obviously, but you also don't want it to be too flat. You want it to be at a good angle, so if you were to rest your hand on this part, that's about the angle it would be at. So this is the finished look when you're all done, and it's very shiny, and it will dry pretty quick. It'll pretty much be dry to the touch in a little bit, but it won't be dry like if you really pushed on it, but it'll probably take about 20 minutes for it to fully dry. So that's it for my tutorial on how to paint your nails properly and how to get the perfect looking manicure. Please leave me a video response or tweet me a picture at GlamMeUp if you try this out and how your nails turned out, because I would love to see if you guys got a pretty manicure. And I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye everybody.